You're listening to the Major Pod Network, the only place where your favorite toy store, card shop, arcade, theme park, and arena are all on the same block. Scratch that major itch.
This is Tony Chimmel, and I'd like to introduce the hosts of the Game Marks podcast, George Feis and Johnny Clash.
Welcome to the Game Marks podcast presented by the Major Pod Network. I'm the man they call Johnny Clash.
And I am Mr. Anything is Feasible, George Feis, and today we are playing WWE Day of Reckoning 2. How's this game going to hold up? Is it going to get a play it forever? Woo! Or a future endeavor?
You're fired!
We also discussed the newest update on the AEW game and the best games based on movies.
And don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review as usual for this podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and follow us on all forms of social media at Game Marks Pod, and check out the exclusive content we're creating for our Patreon at patreon.com/GameMarksPod. And as of this week, we are now on TikTok, so follow us at Game Marks Pod, same as everything else.
Look at
George
us
boy.
joining the world of the TikToks.
Look at us pretending to be 10 years younger.
We're youths. We're youths.
We're the Utes.
We're the youth. The youths of a nation.
We are. Anyway, what's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm good. Recovering from a little dose of the COVID, and
that's right. We both actually have voices today, which is good. So
yeah. So apologies if the quality last week was not up to the par on my end. I tried to fight through it and get through it as best as possible without letting on that I actually had COVID. But yeah, last week and still now, partially dealing with battling COVID, which sucks. Don't recommend leaving a bad Yelp review.
yeah, I'd say
0 out of 10. Do not recommend.
I was trying to TikTok. See, this is how old I am. I'm trying to TikTok right now, like as we're doing this, and like get my voice in here, like, hey, I'm TikToking, but then I don't know what to do after that. So,
all right. Well, if you know what you're doing on TikTok, please.
I'm just gonna delete that. But anyway, we talked last week. Creator Pro Wrestling, May 14th. Hook will be there. Johnny Clash will be there. Matt Cardona, Brian Myers, the major players, the Dark Order, Chris Statlander, Max Caster. The whole gang is gonna be there. There's actually one more huge name entering the King of Cat Battle Royal. I'll wait for the main announcement on that. George, you don't even know who this is.
Damn.
The following day, May 15th, FWF Live 3, the same arena, All Sports in Melville, New York. I got my match. I signed on the dotted line, and I cannot wait for everybody to hear what I'm doing that day. George, you won't be in attendance, as you heard on the Major Wrestling Figure podcast. George is going to, not Jeff, George Feis is going to Disney World. So
first, I want to talk about that really quick. So Swoggle calls me Paul. I still don't understand how he got to Paul. But we turned from Paul, and then Mark tried to tell the story on the Major Pod, and he said Jeff.
And now you're Jeff, and you don't want to know what I call you.
I gotta battle J. George, which makes it even worse because J. George has a J. So technically, I'm still J. George. Now I'm just J. George.
You're just J. George now. We're J. George together. Good dude, J. George. Go listen to Major Rewind on the Major Podcast feed. I also wanted to say maybe you could record Majorland while you're there so I could have a job back, but we'll forget about that one. I'm just losing podcast jobs left and right, Chelsea, right, Cody? It's okay.
Maybe they're going to bring back the WWE Podcast Network, and Cody will be like, I got this guy.
Yeah, okay.
I got this guy.
Let's follow up from last week. Pocket Pro Wrestling, perfect wrestler for the Game Boy Color. I think it was a pretty damn good Game Boy Color game. Something you could really sink your teeth into if you, we always say it, if you're out to the store as a young kid with your parents, a long car ride, and a relative's house that you don't want to be at. That's all the stuff I used it for. And it was great. And I wish I had this game to supplement just playing Mario over and over again. But
see, I wish I had this game to fix the giant void that was left in my life after playing King of the Ring for the Game Boy nonstop.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that one. I was an Attitude guy, and that was not a good game. So, but speaking of more wrestling games, All Elite Wrestling, the most anticipated game of the year until 2K22 took that reign, targeted for September. A publisher has apparently been found, which is great, but they say there's still a lot of work to be done. Now, without naming names, I spoke to some people at All Elite Wrestling, and they said they were not scanned for the game. And one of the understandings may be that it's going to be more of like the original roster rather than everyone today, but I can't see that being the case, especially Cody's gone. What is it going to be? Just Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Jericho? We already saw Darby and Jungle Boy. I don't know. I think it's going to be a full roster. Maybe they just weren't telling me everything because they know I'm going to spill the beans right here.
I don't know. That's such like a weird dynamic. Like you said, it's going to be Jericho, the Young Bucks, Kenny.
Right. I just can't see it being that.
Darby.
Yeah. I don't know. September's only a couple months away. It's like 5 or 6 months. So let's see what they could do, what they could reveal until then. Are we going to get this yearly? It's going to be a one-off, like the TNA game. Is it going to be a one-off and then they'll do a 2 eventually? What's it going to be called? I don't know. I'm dying to know.
Maybe there's going to be some kind of dynamic like updated roster or roster update, like where they're just like, hey, if you buy this game, you know, it's coming out with the foundation, but we plan on servicing this game for, you know, X amount of years, and we have this engine that we spent all this time building, and now, you know, we're going to do like roster packs, and instead of buying a $60 game every year, maybe it'll be like a $30 roster pack that just like adds more characters to the game.
You know what? That's true because they don't change their entrance set every so often. It's kind of all really similar. You could just throw Revolution, the new Revolution updated logo back on Revolution and call it a day. Maybe more like Fire Pro-y where you could just upload your own stuff. Maybe, I don't know. We see with like wrong sport. Elite GM, they're constantly updating that, constantly throwing new wrestlers in. I'm sure it's way easier than a console game, but remains to be seen. I'm excited for it. It's going to be more of, I think, just like a simple, like No Mercy style play that we could just have fun with. So
I cannot wait. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to more videos because the Darby Jungle Boy one gave me a lot of hope. But all right, today we are playing Day of Reckoning 2, but I wanted to point out that Day of Reckoning, when we played this, it was only episode 3 of the podcast. So we did World Tour. Then we did a double shot the following week, which I still remember. I had that shitty microphone. We didn't know what we were doing. We did In Your House.
Samson mic, right?
Samson mic, yeah, the little pocket mic.
Yep.
WrestleMania, the arcade game, and In Your House. And then episode 3, we did Day of Reckoning. And then we did a double shot with Chris Statlander, interviewing her the same day. This was all at Create a Pro. I believe we did this first, and then... Yes. She walked in and after. So this was September 2nd, 2019. So that's how long ago this was.
The before times.
So if you really want a perspective of how far we've come, go listen to that. Then come listen to this because I tried searching for the notes. I wanted to post them for our Patreon. They don't exist. From what I remember, we were looking at our phones for notes. I think we had like notes written in our phones. I
don't think we had like hard set notes yet. I think it was just like you put bullet points together, I'll put bullet points together, and we just
crazy. I think this is kind of where it started, like a little bit come together though. But I did actually I sold the desk about 2 weeks ago, and I found the original World Tour notes that I wrote out on my pad. So that is somewhere in my garage right now. I kept it. So that's pretty cool.
Awesome.
But September 2nd, 2019 to, what day is this releasing? The 18th?
Yeah.
Yeah, April 18th, 2022. Good 3 years in between. So
I think that's enough time.
With that said, George, are we ready to take the plunge into one of our favorite games? You future endeavored the first game.
Yeah.
One of my favorite series.
So
So, George, you see this light behind me, this beautiful game over light that I point to every single episode when we do our little sign off. I'm like Ronda Rousey pointing to the WrestleMania sign.
Yep.
So I got this from Zavvi, one of our favorite distributors, dealers of Batman, Lego, Disney, Funko, wrestling. They have new Moon Knight stuff, Power Rangers, Transformers, us.zavvi.com. And do you know what we have here, George? We have a 10% discount code, Game Marks Podcast at checkout. Listen, they have absolutely everything. Have you checked it out?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I have a ever-growing Funko collection, and in that Funko collection, I know that I could go to Zavvi and not only use the sweet discount code that we have now, but just know that, like, everything is going to be shipped the right way. I mean, you've heard it on this podcast, on other podcasts. You buy something from Walmart, you buy something from Target, they really don't take care when they ship stuff to you. At least you know when you order from Zavvi that the things are going to be packaged the right way. The thing that I have in my cart on my wish list that I was thinking about picking up for myself is they've got these classic NES cartridges that are actually coasters.
Oh, that's cool. I was actually thinking about buying the Harry Potter shoes, but we're very different here.
Yeah, I also feel like I got to get that Game Over light too. I feel like it's a saying on the podcast, and even though that you're the one that always says it, I feel like it's still a part of the show, and I got to have it too.
Well, if anyone else wants it, us.zavvi.com. That's ZAVVI. Use the code GameMarksPodcast at checkout.
All right, John, are you ready? Because this was one of the first games that I actually went back when we started doing Future Endeavor. Available on our Patreon, patreon.com/GameMarksPod. When we started doing that series, this was the second game that I played and went, I kind of regret Future Endeavoring this game.
I'm still just baffled that you even did. I think because maybe we had like World Tour and then 2 other good games before it. We didn't want to like play forever, like everything.
No, this just has no nostalgia for me. Like I didn't play this as a kid. And
we also had like a blurred line of what Future Endeavor Play It Forever meant. And I think we clarified it since. Does it hold up today?
Yeah, and I went back, obviously, and said that I made a mistake, and that I think that this game should have been a double Play It Forever. But let's do it. Let's start this deep dive of Day of Reckoning 2. Released August 29th, 2005, published by THQ, developed by Ukes.
Love to hear it.
For the Nintendo Game.
Love to hear it.
Other games you have out in 2005, you have WWE Raw for your cell phone. You have WWE SmackDown for your cell phone. WWE WrestleMania 21 for the Xbox. WWE Aftershock for the Engage. WWE SmackDown vs. Raw 2006. And Fire Pro Wrestling returns.
Damn, that's a stacked year right there. That's just some of the greatest games people refer back to from this era. Minus
times I hear people talk about the N-Gage and how revolutionary gameplay you got on Aftershock.
I'm talking about Day of Reckoning. I'm talking about SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, and I'm talking about Fire Pro Wrestling Returns. Now, obviously, at this time, I was playing. I guess I could say I put a lot of time into the first Day of Reckoning. This one, I definitely completed the story. I definitely completed the playthrough, but this is the time when I had an Xbox. So I was definitely playing WrestleMania 21, and I was also venturing out now. This is around the time I got my PlayStation 2 Slim, and I definitely had SmackDown vs. Raw 2006. So I said definitely a lot.
You did.
That's how much I mean this. I was dividing my time. I was dividing my time between those 3 games. And I knew of Fire Pro Returns. I just didn't ever play it. And we know how that story went, how I hated the series until this podcast. Now I love the series, and I wish I did have it. But honestly, with those 3 games, I wouldn't have even turned it on.
So let's see. At this point, I'm definitely playing... Definitely. 100% definitely playing SmackDown vs. Raw 2006. I am absolutely playing Fire Pro Wrestling Returns. Not so much into the Xbox world of gaming yet. So WrestleMania 21 slips under the radar. Did not own and engage as a youth, so not playing Aftershock. And I really didn't care for mobile games at the time.
I didn't know those even existed, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, like, I was like a playing Snake on my BlackBerry kind of guy. Like, that was my jam.
SmackDown vs. Raw took precedent, though, over all of them.
Oh, yeah, for me, too.
Day of Reckoning 2, I think once the story was done, I feel like I just tucked it away. But WrestleMania 21 was so broken that the same thing. Story was done. I didn't put much time into it. You had to go with the SmackDown vs. Raw series. It was, like, near perfect.
Yeah, and I feel like I got Fire Pro Wrestling Returns on a recommendation because I believe at this time I'm actually working.
I forget you worked there.
At Software Etc., which eventually becomes GameStop. Yeah, so at this time I'm getting it, and as a recommendation from a coworker, he knew that I was a big wrestling guy and was just like, if you like wrestling games, you got to try Fire Pro. And I hated it when I first met it. I was like, this is awful because all you want to do is button mash.
Yeah, you can go back and listen, or I think we have an article where I explain my hatred for the Fire Pro Wrestling series on...
It's documented. It's well
on GameMarksPod.com as well. But anyway, Day of Reckoning 2, this is a sequel to WWE Day of Reckoning. It has improved graphics, a strategy-based submission game, and a path-driven storyline. It continues from the first game. Now, in the first game, you could choose between Raw or SmackDown. They're very similar storylines. You could go check that out in our YouTube. I did an entire playthrough of the first game. But this one starts you on Raw. So it's a continuation, but you start on Raw. You do eventually work to SmackDown, and you end in SmackDown, but you're flip-flopping between both. And this is also the last WWE game to be released for the Nintendo GameCube. It kind of...
GameCube.
I feel like games like this just died with the GameCube because with the Wii... I've mentioned before, like I got Force Unleashed, which we'll have more on later. It just wasn't the same on the Wii. I don't know.
The Wii went out of their way to make playing a regular video game so needlessly difficult.
Yeah, I just want to sit there and play a game.
Support, but they're like, everything's got to be motion control. Like, not everything needs to be motion control.
Like, I wanted Force Unleashed so bad, and I got it for the Wii from like a gift. I would have never purchased it. And I'm sitting there trying to like move these pieces like with the wand, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm buying this on Xbox. So added to this game is a new stamina meter. So much like the other games that are out now, especially Fire Pro Returns, you do have a little meter here that if your stamina meter is low, you have to sit there. You have to take a breath. You have to wait for it.
Full on stop moving.
You will stop moving, and you put your hands on your head and start breathing.
What the hell are you doing over there?
Putting my hands on my head, doing sit-ups.
Okay.
Different levels of blood, which is cool because you start with like a little trickle in the head, maybe a gash depending on the weapon, and then as you go, it either trickles down your chest more, it sprays, or you could just get a big blood patch. It's pretty cool, and there's a
lot of drippy blood effects on the canvas, the mats on the side of the ring. Like it
fades eventually. It doesn't just fill up, but it's pretty cool. And momentum shift is still in the game from the previous, and I think that's a pretty cool dynamic. And I like that, other games featured it as well. If you're losing, you just tap the finisher button, A and B. When the little prompt comes up, you do a finisher, and your momentum literally swaps to the other guy. So you could go from red to blue and vice versa. I always like that WrestleMania 18, 19, and the Day of Reckonings kind of still have the same mechanics as like No Mercy and the other games for the N64. They obviously look better. They play better. They're a little smoother. But somewhere in there, it's just still there, and I like that.
There's a lot of mechanics in this game that I almost wish. I mean, I guess they've kind of evolved, but like the momentum shift is awesome. But I guess that's kind of also now how they have like the comeback system in 2K, where it functions the same way. But like, I wish more games had this kind of gameplay where like, you are, getting dominated. You need something to kind of shift the momentum. Get it? And turn the match where at least you could try to get some moves in. And this was cool. I mean, you can watch the playthrough on our YouTube channel. John plays through because this is obviously one of his top games. So I wanted to give him the honors of playing through it this week for the YouTube. And there is a point where he hits the momentum shift and it changes the course of the match. And then in a match later on, he gets hit with one and it changes the course of the match, and he actually ends up losing the match because of it. Like, it's such an interesting dynamic that like can really just shift the entire landscape of the match, because it can happen on a Hell in a Cell. It could happen
it can happen anywhere.
In a hardcore match. Like, it's not just limited to like you have to use this mechanic, and this mechanic only happens in the ring. It's very cool. The blood system also very, very cool. We talked about it. There's just a lot of new features that don't necessarily change things for the worst. It's more of like taking like a good foundation and just like, hey, we're adding more to it, which is the same kind of thing you want 2K to start doing. Like, you've got this good foundation. Let's keep building on it.
Yeah, so let's talk about the brand new feature of 4 different submission options here, because once you put your opponent in a submission, you get the little prompt from the C button, which is like it's like the little joystick on the right side of the controller, where you could do a taunt submission, which depletes the opponent's momentum, a rest hold submission, which allows you to regain stamina, which
is this the first time that the word rest hold has ever been used in a video game?
Maybe because it's like a frowned upon actual word in wrestling.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, I feel like that's not something you ever really hear.
Yeah,
like said by like, it's like an insider term.
Yeah, and then there's a drain submission, which drains your opponent's stamina, and then a regular submission, which obviously just causes damage to a body part, and you could win that way. So I think that's pretty cool. There's 4 different ways you could win the match here by submission, or you could use it to your advantage. A little strategic here. I could have definitely used the rest hold a bunch of times during my matches because I had my hands on my head, breathing very heavily most of the time, because I like going to the top rope. I like using weapons and all that. And holding a weapon or going to the top rope and just sitting there, your stamina does not come back up. You have to actually just stand there and do nothing.
Which is actually an interesting mechanic, because it gives you the ability to, like you can't just sit there with a chair and be like, all right, well, I'm gonna recover stamina, and if you get too close to me, I'm just gonna swing the chair and then go back to recovering stamina.
Right. Yeah, I like that. Now, Create a Wrestler returns. I almost said Create a Pro. Create a Wrestler returns. It's very similar to the one from the first game. It's it's got the face mechanics where you could like move stuff. It's not very realistic looking in this game, but hey, you get what you get. It doesn't get realistic till, I would say, even the 2K series, when you could import your face into there. And even that, you can make the swamp monster very easily without trying. Each character is assigned between 1 and 9 finishing moves. So every position there a finisher is available, you're able to do one, which is pretty cool.
That's a lot.
Now,
that's way more than like the standard of you get a front, back, to ground,
flying,
turnbuckle, corner. Damn.
Submissions. Yeah.
It's like they took the no mercy. No mercy. No mercy. I'm Bane. They took that no mercy kind of style and were just like, what if we turned it up a little bit more? And we're just like, now you've got Hell in a Cell finishers and
right.
And
but the thing is, there's no online for this game, so you're just playing against computers. So have as many finishers as you want.
Yeah, so you're beating the crap out of your friend. That's also fun.
Yeah, and then make another Create a Wrestler, and both of you go at it.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
The main menu of this game is pretty cool because you get THQ Arena. I'm not sure if this is like SmackDown Shut Your Mouth, where this is supposed to be MSG. It's a little MSG-ish, but it doesn't look like the city.
I was going to say, the building itself looks like a combination of MSG and the obviously not
like
there yet Barclays, but it looks like a weird combination of the two.
So I guess it's just its own thing. It's just THQ Arena.
It looks like, you know what it honestly looks like? It looks like they did a combination of MSG and Barclays Center, and they put it at Giant Stadium.
Yeah, I was going to say a little bit of MetLife in there. But when you get to your menu, you have Exhibition, Story Mode, Create a Wrestler, a Tutorial. Do the damn tutorial.
Yes.
WWEshop.com, which is where you're going to buy your extra, stuff for your wrestlers, your t-shirts, your arenas, your legends, and, of course, options. Now, your exhibition matches, you have singles, tag team, triple threat, fatal four-way, handicap, Royal Rumble, TLC, Hell in a Cell, Iron Man, and George's favorite, bra and panties matches.
I'm so glad we're past that
Listen,
in wrestling games.
We did one on the pod, and that's all we ever have to do. They're all the same.
Enough. That's enough.
They're just submission matches where you're just ripping clothes off.
Which, no.
Yeah, no. Even as a kid, it was just kind of like, this is just too awkward. I don't want to do these and get no.
No.
All right, but this story mode. Now, I am fresh off of the Day of Reckoning story. It ends where you finally overcome Evolution, and you're the World Heavyweight Champion. Batista's also out of Evolution. He helps at the end. He gives you a hug. You guys are buddies now. Evolution has disbanded. You beat them. Chris Jericho's involved. Edge is involved. You're in a tag team with, I think, like Lance Storm or Val Venus or something. It's very weird. But now this one continues right from there on the Raw brand. It's almost a year after WrestleMania 20. Evolution's gone. And now you lost your World Heavyweight Championship back to Triple H. Now you have a love interest, and it's Stacy Keibler. How much did you love Stacy Keibler growing up? I know I did. Now, 1 month before WrestleMania 21, Chris Jericho loses a match to... Triple H loses a match to Chris Jericho, and the title is now up for grabs because there was some cheating involved, there was some interference, and now Eric Bischoff holds a tournament for the new championship at WrestleMania 21. Now, you eventually win, but this is where the story goes up and comes down, because the World Heavyweight Championship is gone. It is stolen. It is not where it should be. Stacy Keibler dumps you. You're fired from Raw because you get framed. It's, you're the one who stole the belt, even though we know it's not us that stole the belt. Now, listen. When Eric Bischoff fires you, holla holla, baby, Teddy Long offers you a contract. You are now, not just a contract, he offers you a lifetime contract to SmackDown. You eventually win the WWE Championship. You form allies with whoever's involved, Chris Jericho, Orton, and you finally find out that Edge is the one that stole the title, because he's sitting there. He's looking at it. He's like talking to it like, oh, yeah, my baby, I finally got you and all that. You walk in, you finally see this, and you challenge him at WrestleMania to it's kind of like a little impromptu hardcore match. You beat him up in the locker room. Ric Flair comes in. He says his line, hardcore wrestling is more like glorified stuntmen. He lets out a woo, and you give him the belt and say, Rick, do the right thing. Take this belt to Bischoff, blah, blah, blah. So after you brutally have a hardcore match with Edge, you now go and face Triple H in a last man standing match for the WWE Championship. Obviously, you're going to win in the end. This is the final chapter. So you are standing there with the WWE Championship. Rick comes out with the belt. You hand it over to Triple H and be a nice guy. You guys celebrate in the ring as two champions. And Stacy comes back. Stacy's your girl again. So it's a win-win for everyone. And I think, I'm going to be honest here, I only watched the end. Most of this is from memory because this storyline distinctly stuck with me. It was just more in-depth than the first Day of Reckoning, because I said it before, Raw and SmackDown were a copy-paste of each other. Just instead of Evolution, it's the Ministry. And it's like the Bashams, and I don't know. You always pick Raw. You don't want the Bashams.
Good Lord. I can't believe that most of that's from memory.
Most of it is from memory, not going to lie, yeah.
Jesus.
See, somewhere in there I used to mix up that storyline with the one from WrestleMania 21. But I know I played this one multiple times and that one only maybe probably once. And this one just stuck. And then watching a little bit back, it all came rushing back to me. But I just did a lot of talking.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you just took us through the entire storyline. Why don't you grab a little glass of water or something, give your vocal cords a rest, and I will take us through this roster for Day of Reckoning 2. You ready?
Yep.
All right, the roster for Day of Reckoning 2 is Batista, The Big Show, Booker T, Bret Hart, Carlito, Chavo Guerrero, Chris Benoit, Chris Jericho, Chris Masters, Christian, Christy Hemme, a lot of Chris. Eddie Guerrero,
Definitely.
Edge, Eugene, Heidenreich, Hulk Hogan, The Hurricane, JBL, John Cena, Kane, Kenzo Suzuki, Kurt Angle, Mankind, Muhammad Hassan, Orlando Jordan, Paul London, Randy Orton, Rene Dupree, Rey Mysterio, why would I say Chris again?
Too many Chris's.
Rey Mysterio, Ric Flair,
Chris
RVD, Chris Flair, Shawn Michaels, Shelton Benjamin, Snitsky, Stacy Keibler, Steve Austin, Tajiri, The Rock, Tori Wilson, Triple H, Trish Stratus, Undertaker, William Regal, and you've got some NPCs as well. Teddy Long, Eric Bischoff, The King, JR, The Coach, Michael Cole, Taz, and Mike Chioda. Now, I still feel like I didn't do enough talking there, so if you have any comments about the roster, let's do that, and then I will also take us through the arenas as well.
I think it's funny. This is one of the last games we see actual refs in. It started off with Earl Hebner. Obviously, everyone knows Earl Hebner was canned shortly after those games happened for, whatever reasons. He might even be in TNA at this point. So next best thing, we put Mike Chioda in the game, and you notice his likeness right away. One thing that this game did not have, and the first one didn't either, is the Raw and SmackDown refs. Other games did it with the blue shirts. This one was just a straight up ref for both, which is fine, but
also no commentary.
No, you can't really do commentary on the GameCube. I will say this game heavily featured a Dark Halo for some reason as the main, I guess, soundtrack featured artist, who I have no idea who they are to this day, along with some, like the Hives, I think, and not as big as like the Breaking Benjamin and the Zebra Head from the first game, but during the actual matches, you're just getting kind of basic music instead. You get the crowd noise, which is pretty big. You don't miss the commentary per se. And a lot of the story mode is just like reading through the bottom captions.
Yeah.
You don't get a voiceover, but it's GameCube. This is what you get on that little disc,
So your soundtrack for Day of Reckoning 2 is Burn It All and Beyond Recall by A Dark Halo. Obviously, you have Metalingus by Alter Bridge. You have One of a Kind from Breaking Point. You have the Whatever theme by Our Lady Peace. And you have Final Force and Hey You from Nick Welsh, Real American, and Walk Idiot Walk. So it's mostly wrestler themes, and then a couple of songs that are just there to play during like menu screens and
the intro,
whatever generic stock music you get throughout the matches, which is very repetitive. And if the matches go on too long, it plays the one track all the way through and then just stops, and then for the remainder of the match there's no audio.
All right, so take us through these arenas here,
All right.
And you don't have to read the year, George.
Oh, damn. All right. Well, arenas, you have Raw, SmackDown, Sunday Night Heat, Velocity, Backlash, Judgment Day, Bad Blood, Great American Bash, Vengeance, SummerSlam, Unforgiven, No Mercy, Taboo Tuesday.
Oh man, remember that?
Makes me miss Off the Hop Rope. Survivor Series, Armageddon, Royal Rumble, No Way Out, and WrestleMania. Have you still never listened to an episode of Off the Hop Rope?
Why would I go back and do that?
It's a great podcast. It pairs the perfect beer with the perfect wrestling match.
No. Okay. We're going to go through the cover now, where, as we saw on the first one, had Trish Stratus big. This one has Stacy Keibler, and she's a main part of the story here. So you also have John Cena and Triple H, your Raw guy and your SmackDown guy. And George just made the whole file disappear for me, so I don't know where it is. The back, you have John Cena. Hulk Hogan dropping that leg drop where it says New Legends. You have Carlito. You have some high-flying action with the Hurricane, who was great in this game. Go check out our playthrough of that. And, gives a rundown of the features. It says Trust No One. I think this is a pretty damn good cover. The back is designed just as well as the front. And I don't think this game gets a lot of love. I think it's very overshadowed by SmackDown vs. Raw 2006.
I love this cover. I think that this is an awesome cover. The whole package itself is just designed very, very nicely. I'm surprised this isn't a poster that's on your wall.
Well, I don't know. Maybe eventually they're swappable. But
I understand the giant Stacy Keibler on the wall may not go over very well.
Well, that's the part I would want. I like that they got away from the WrestleMania themed games. And they started a new series here. Yeah. And you wonder, if the GameCube held on for another year or two, if we got a Day of Reckoning 3, or if they would have just ported, SmackDown vs. Raw 2007 to the GameCube. That's something we never really saw, so I don't know. I don't know if it was even capable.
That's an interesting thought.
Fun to think about. Let's get into this art style here. Because upgraded textures, upgraded graphics, everything looks a lot more realistic. The pyro. I think when it came to WrestleMania 19, everything looked good, but it just wasn't there at that point where you were watching wrestling on TV. This is almost there. The camera's changed. You're at that different angle again. You're on the hard cam. You get the really, really detailed entrance sets. Even the ropes look great. The metal on the turnbuckles and everything.
There's really only one big cartoony aspect to the game itself, and that's when you hit your finisher. There's these crazy camera effects that
happen. Oh yeah, that's fun. You could turn that off also.
But aside from that, like you just said, very good presentation. The
arenas,
the
crowd
realism is great. The animations are great. Everything is really smooth. But it's also still within that realm of this is 2005. Everything's over the top still. So when you fall off a cage or you jump off the top of the cage,
you jump off the cage.
Everything that has to happen with the Hell in a Cell is absolutely insane, and no real person could ever survive how what these
not even Shane
McMahon. The game. It's crazy, but I mean, it's a video game, suspension of disbelief and all that, and it's a nice little package for presentation.
Non-paper crowd, it's very 3D. The signs,
the best crowd, but not the
worst. The signs get a little repetitive. We could talk about the chant where you jump off or throw someone through the Hell in the Cell, and they go holy sh, holy sh. Just don't even put that in the game if that's the case. Let's talk about the HUD for a second, because it is your body meter, pretty big. Then it's the stamina meter around that, a little circle, which I get that's cool for saving space. And then you get your little what do you call that? Your vitality meter that looks like you're dying when you're.
It's like your EKG. It's adrenaline meter maybe.
It's close to what you get in No Mercy. The blue means bad, the red means good. And you're getting your special. Yeah. Now you fill up your. Right, and you fill up your little special meter, which is a little icon, which you could see on the Day of Reckoning logo, and then when you get it, he flexes, and that's when you know you have a finisher, and you could store up to 3.
It changes ever so slightly. The arms just literally go from down to up, and that's your indicator, and maybe the icon itself gets a little bigger. If you don't know what to look for, you are 100% going to miss it.
Right. Now, the fun thing is here, you could store up to 3, but it's not just a one and done. It's still from the previous games where you enter your finisher mode and you could hit 2 or 3, whatever you could fit within that time. Yeah. So you could hit 10 finishers a game.
And you could, depending on the, you could be Bradshaw in WWE No Mercy and hit rapid fire clothesline from hell.
Correct. He is in here.
You could also steal opponents'
Yes.
finishers, which is super cool. And it's
Now-
the same music, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same music from Day of Reckoning 1.
Something I didn't really like with the HUD is when you get into multi-man matches, it takes up a lot of the screen because you have the 2 on the bottom and then you get the 2 on the top. And it's just a lot. 'Cause
That was my
we're not
big
HD here
complaint.
yet. We're on the old
Not even- you know what
TVs.
it is? It's not even the complaint for this game, like in particular. It's just a complaint for games at this time. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like every time we play something from like the early 2000s, it's always just like, and then the HUD was like 3/4 of the screen.
Yeah.
And if you play any match with more than 2 people, it's mostly the HUD.
Right. I think all the moves look good. Now the weapons are kind of one and dones. You hit someone with something big, it does like the little animation, like the kendo stick, like explodes on the top. The ring bell breaks,
down,
the chair breaks,
splits, yeah.
but it's after like 1 or 2 hits. So you kind of got to keep going back and using more and more of those, which is fine, but whatever. The submission game is the same, where it's just the meter left and right. You don't want to get to submit. You want to tap and keep it to the escape side. And like we said before, you use the little C stick to choose which type of submission you want to use.
And getting out of the cell. Very easy as well.
Oh, yeah. Very easy. You just whip your opponent into it 3 times. That's it.
Super, super easy. All right, so is it time for us to go and talk about unlockables, ratings, and reviews? Where do you
I
want
think
to go
it's time.
next?
Did you know? Did you know WWE Day of Reckoning 2 and SmackDown vs. Raw 2006 were the first games to include Stone Cold Steve Austin as a legend?
Did you know Maven and Luther Reigns were cut from the game before release, though both entrances and models are still available on the disc?
Did you know WWE Day of Reckoning 2 is available on eBay from $27 to $35 used and 100 brand new sealed? Man,
Damn.
I wish we got Maven, even though in Shut Your Mouth you don't get the music.
I feel like that's part of the presentation. I want
You know there's
full Maven presentation with the right theme song or no Maven at all.
there's another version of that theme song from Mercy Drive.
Is there?
It's like the same intro but different lyrics because I used it on a school project in 2006 on like a PowerPoint.
Well, you need to find that and post it on in the Discord.
We'll do that. Now, speaking of people left out of the game, there's a whole Ultimate Warrior debacle here. Our good buddy Brian Barrera, WCW Worldwide, posted it about 2 weeks ago that in an article that IGN published on April 1st, 2005, people think it's an April Fool's joke, but it was an actual article. IGN readers voted him. It's stated that IGN Cube readers voted for him and they got him, the Ultimate Warrior, when talking about this game. Now, he's not in this game. He was never going to be in this game. This is way before he came back. This is not a good time for the Ultimate Warrior. And apparently he sued THQ for putting in his markings, his designs, his face paint, his entrance animation, and his moveset into the creator wrestler of their games. So this was never going to happen. This was just a rumor. This is rumor and innuendo. Ultimate Warrior was never going to be a legend here. I think it would be big if he was, because we hadn't seen him on WWE TV in a very long time, and it's going to be another almost 10 years until we do.
Damn.
So, I don't know. It's just a big, I guess, misunderstanding from IGN. Or they knew something we didn't.
I would say, or they got some insider information and it was actually cut.
Now, let's talk about the unlockables here. You wanted to talk about them before.
I love me some unlockable. So you can get certain arenas and certain legends, like John mentioned before. So when you get the Backlash pay-per-view, when you get to that in the story mode, the Backlash arena is also unlocked for exhibition mode.
I think that's most of them, too. Not just Backlash. Yeah.
You can unlock Stone Cold by playing 5 one-on-one exhibition matches. You can get Mankind by doing 10 matches. Bret Hart is 20. You unlock Hulk Hogan by clearing the story mode, and you unlock. Well, I can't
Are you okay?
talk today, John. Holy crap! And you unlock the Rock by clearing season mode, match 8, and there is an alternative method, and it is to clear number 20, show number 20 in story mode. And to use your opponent's finisher move, you have to hold L and R and press A and B, and it will give you your opponent's finisher.
Now I tried that.
Now we know.
And it didn't work. It kind of like made you know, the animation for blocking a move, it just held me there. So maybe you have to be in a grapple to do it.
Yeah, I was just saying, I have a feeling that some of these games had certain, because they didn't really have just like outright running finishers or anything like that. Like everything was from a grapple or top rope or...
Yeah. But all right. We talked a lot. You're stumbling on your words. I think it's time for us to slow down, take a deep breath, some R&R. It's time for some ratings and reviews.
I'm going to sip some water too.
Now, some of these confuse me, but Metacritic with a 76 out of 100. Now, OneUp.com gives us a B+. EGM can go kick rocks with a 5.83 out of 10. Game Informer with a 7.25 out of 10. Game Revolution can also go fly a kite with a C. GameSpot with an 8.1 out of 10. GameSpy with a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Game Trailer with an 8.1 out of 10. Game Zone with an 8.8 out of 10. IGN with an 8.5 out of 10. Nintendo Power with an 8 out of 10. And Detroit Free Press with a 3 out of 4 stars. They don't rate out of 5. They're out of 4. It's Detroit after all. But that's the ratings from the professional publications. It's time for the real important rating. It's time to rate the games.
The game!
All right.
Play it forever. George, you're up. WWE Day of Reckoning 2. Will you play it forever or future endeavor?
I'm not making the same mistake twice. This is a play it forever. Wish I had more time with this game back in 2005 on the GameCube, because I own the GameCube. I just did not think that wrestling games on the GameCube were going to be good, and I was wrong.
You were very wrong.
I was wrong.
There was just something about GameCube games that I think it was like the load time was quick. It was easy to get into the game. Like the grapple and like move physics were just so easy that just putting these games in and just playing them was just so much better.
Yeah, there are so many games on the GameCube that I had such a great time playing, but none of them were wrestling games for some reason.
No, it's all Pikmin.
No, Pikmin. Mario Kart and...
Who Kart?
Mario Kart.
Okay, thank you.
And Smash Brothers and... Not Pikmin. Who played... If you played Pikmin...
No, I did not play that. I was a Pokemon Stadium guy. All right. But
Is it time for us to go to a new and exciting and fun segment that we have on this show? Is it time for Soft Lock?
Let's go.
Final round. Fight!
All right, so Soft Lock is a segment on the podcast where a mega mark from our Patreon gives us a topic to debate, and John and I go back and forth and debate that topic for better or worse. This week, the topic comes from Brett Van, and Brett's topic is, what are the best video games based on movies?
There's a lot here. I mean, you could kind of consider like Mortal Kombat. There's the Power Rangers movie game. There's like Ninja Turtles.
So Mortal Kombat doesn't count because Mortal Kombat game first. The Power Rangers, the movie game, does count.
Yeah, why not?
That one does count. First ones that popped into my head were the Spider-Man movies.
That's literally my answer. I think Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I love them. I liked Spider-Man 3 because I was a big fan of Venom as a kid. So any chance that I had to see him in the game, I was always for. I don't think the movie was that great, but the game was fun. But that whole series, that whole Sam Raimi Spider-Verse video game series was really, really great.
You know what? 2 and 3 were just so similar that when I got to 3 after a lengthy play of 2, I was like, I'm not going to do this.
Yeah. What else? What are some other...
Now, Toy Story, Aladdin, The Lion King, all those classics.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park for Sega was awesome.
Oh, man.
We get to tranquilize the Velociraptors. Now, here's a sleeper.
Games.
Here's a sleeper pick. TMNT, based on the CGI version in 2007 for the Wii.
Okay.
Yeah, it was only, I think, a DS, Wii, and Windows game. It was pretty cool. It was like a side-scroll. Like, they tried to go back to, like, the old-school style Ninja Turtle games, but 3D. I think Ubisoft put it out. Yeah, Ubisoft. It was pretty cool.
I mean...
And I stand corrected. It was actually on all consoles, but I had it for the Wii.
How do you not mention this, like, Star Wars games? Like, there are...
Star Wars 3-2X,
Super Empire Strikes Back,
TIE Fighter,
Super Return of the Jedi. Obviously, they're all based within that Star Wars universe, but there are games that are specifically...
Harry Potter coming out. I guess that might be more bookish.
Every Lego game is based on a movie. Every Lego game. Even the Lego movie game is great.
Yeah.
Like, the Lego games are just so fun. They do something... If you really just want like a casual pick up and play style game, those Lego games are great. I think that they're good. Obviously, there are a lot of flops that don't do well and don't translate
just kind
well.
of put them out with the game and call it a day.
Yeah.
What's your final pick here?
I think I'm gonna go Spider-Man. I want to go Star Wars, but the Star Wars games, the ones that I immediately think of are the ones for like Super Nintendo and Sega, and those were just like insanely hard.
So hard,
not even fun.
Akbar yelling at you.
I'm going Spider-Man.
Yeah, I'm going Spider-Man 2 here.
Yeah, I think that this was a good question. This was a good little debate that we had, a good little topic, and I think it's time that we hop on over to some gaming news. John, what do you got for us this week?
All right, Nintendo Switch Sports is coming out real soon. I think the end of the month, and you could pre-order now for a nice free steel water bottle. So when you work up that sweat playing Wii Sports, you could hydrate. Now, rumors of a new Marvel content as well as Darth Vader and Indiana Jones are going to be added to Fortnite this summer. Halo, the Master Chief Collection, this is no surprise here, had a bit of a resurgence on Steam as it's now towering over Halo Infinite. And Sucker Punch Productions may be working on Ghost of Tsushima 2 very soon.
Ooh,
now, we had a debate about the Halo TV series a few weeks ago where I said, I don't know, I feel like it's going to be like The Mandalorian. And you were like, oh, that's too different. That's Star Wars and that's video games, blah, blah, blah. I saw a friend last night and he said, are you watching Halo? I said, no, but I hear it's very different from the video game. He goes, okay, well, I don't watch the game. I don't play the game. I just watch the show off of recommendation. It's a lot like The Mandalorian. And I was like, thank you. Come again. So I guess for a non-Halo person, you can make that reference because they didn't play the game. And I don't know, I might have been sold on watching it. I know the first episode's actually on YouTube to watch. And I'll give it a shot and I'll see if I'll find a way to continue. I might have to get Paramount Plus. Especially Ink Master's coming back.
Oh, God. You an Ink Master, man.
It's a good show. It's a great show.
All right. I mean, I'm excited. I might have to also jump in and give the Halo.
Let's watch it. We'll watch it for OMG or something.
I got to continue my playthrough of
unbelievable.
Halo series. I stopped very cold turkey on that.
All right, games coming out this week. Ember Knights for the PC on April 20th. Also on April 20th, here we go. Star Wars The Force Unleashed for the Switch. Anucard for the PS, the Xbox Series X, Xbox One, and Switch on April 21st. Also, Godlike Burger for the PC.
That's got to be like the new version of Diner Dash.
Thank God. Then Lumote, the Master Mote Chronicles on April 21st. Trolley Problems, Valone for the PC. Metal Tales Overkill is coming out for the PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch on the 22nd. And also Winklage? I don't know that word. Winklage, the little shop, on April 22nd.
Winklage.
We'll go with that.
Oh, Jesus. All right, guys. YouTube.com/GameMarks Podcast for all of our weekly playthrough videos, exclusive content, more, including this week's and every other week's game. John, Patreon schedule. What do we got going on this week? I know we got a dual Future Endeavor coming out this week.
All right, so today, Monday, you're getting our show ad-free and a video version. Hey, guys, how you doing? Tuesday, tomorrow, you're getting our show notes, and you're getting GMP Game Over, where we play Feel the Bang. George had a wild one last week, had a wild challenge, and he's looking for some redemption. Wednesday, Future Endeavored. So last week, George tried to play All-Star Pro Wrestling, but for some reason, it just wouldn't work. So I have that game this week. We're going to do a little dual Future Endeavored and both get it done in one shot.
Maybe it's a dual Future Endeavored / Clash with the Feast.
Yeah, we could do that.
Redo.
Thursday last week, you got Wild's World. Go back and check that out. And this week or next week, I got to check our schedule. You're getting OMG, one more game where me and George play a non-wrestling game. Go figure. And now,
wrestling sideshow.
April 24th. High Stakes GMP 64 returns to the Twitch channel as we crown our first World Heavyweight Champion. Now, if
I gotta get some redemption after last month. Holy crap, you sweeped me pretty much.
That's right. Now, check out the Wiltzer Report on GameMarksPod.com if you want to catch up, or join our Patreon where we have the entire backlog. But George, tell us what we are playing next week, because it's finally here.
We're not playing anything, John. This is the end of the podcast.
What?
We're not playing anything. No, next week, the long-awaited video game breakdown of Animal Hawk, the Road Warriors.
I held that way too long.
That was good. I'm very surprised how long you were able to hold that. We are finally doing the Road Warriors video game history. That will be next week's episode. I am very excited about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that's going to be released also in video form for everyone, not just Patreon.
Super pumped about that. But, John, is that it? Are we putting a bow on it?
Put a bow on it. Take us home.
All right. GameMarksPod.com/shop for all of our exclusive merchandise. ProWrestlingTees.com/GameMarksPod for all of our new shirt designs. We got a couple new shirt ones
we do.
last week. Patreon.com/GameMarksPod for all the exclusive content, show notes, exclusive shows, and a whole lot more at GameMarksPod on all forms of social media. Make sure to smack that subscribe button and leave us a 5-star review and a rating on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And hey, guys, you know what? If you do leave us a rating and a review, maybe we're going to bring back the weekly review and we'll start sending out some prizes again. If you have a product or service that you would like to advertise on this podcast, please reach out to us at GameMarksPod@gmail.com. I don't know why I can't say that. John, that's it. I think it's time for you to do that thing that you do and point to that sign like it's WrestleMania.
Game over. Marks.
John's got a point at the WrestleMania sign.
Game Marks Podcast, put them on the radar. Playing rare games, Sega Saturn, no Game Shark. Johnny and George work hard and they play hard. Future Endeavor games and put them in the graveyard. From the deep dive to the clash at the feast. How can I get more? That's question of the week. Follow on Twitch, there's nothing that they won't play. Game Marks Podcast every single Monday.